Don't follow the insurance report for this one. All right.
Okay.
Will you get a shot of me holding this thing up? Or just climbing down?
Sure. How do I do it?
Flip it around.
Okay.
Flip the camera.
Duh. Do I have to push anything?
No, you're good. Thanks.
Well, I'm taking pictures of myself.
Yeah, that's going to be a great
Why
shot.
do I picture
What do I do? What do I do?
Okay.
I'm Logan. I travel, I meet people, and I tell their stories. And today I'm here with Cary. Cary spent 28 years building hospitals.
Yeah.
Working on everything from the floors to the ceiling to the tables and chairs and beds and even the air you breathe.
Yeah.
And then he spent 18 years working as a high-end handyman fixing up buildings all over California. And he's put a lot of that expertise into his amazing van build here. And we were hanging out for a couple hours last night, and it's been really cool to get to know Cary, see his van, but more importantly, enjoy this amazing canyon here. We are in a canyon not too far from Yosemite, and we're tucked amongst some super tall pine trees and aspen trees. And Cary is the campground host here.
Correct.
And there's a funny story with that. Cary ended up becoming the campground host here after spending his childhood coming to this campground all the time.
Yeah.
Coming here with his dad, with his granddad, playing in the creek, and now he's the host.
Yeah.
And he decided to retire, and he's been living out of his van for 3 years, and he was inspired by his son to live a little bit of a nomadic life, right?
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
So we're gonna check out Cary's awesome van, and we're gonna start probably on the outside. He's just gonna tell me a little bit about his solar panel and some of the boxes he has on the roof here.
Yeah, I have 200 watts of solar on the roof. That's my container for my hard gear, my chainsaw, my axes, all that kind of stuff. Obviously my WeBoost cell phone booster, because we have to have technology. That feeds my water tank. That was a whole nother story, putting that thing in. I used to have it feed through the back, but you had to have the van on an incline to be able to fill it to the top, because I was trying to keep everything really stealthy. And then I finally relented and put one in there, and I have power inputs on the other side.
And you got the sticker to remind yourself not to put gas in it, huh?
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, tell me about the propane hookup here. You got these little guys.
That propane hookup feeds my Propex heater. It feeds if I want to have a propane cooktop or I want to put a barbecue outside this thing, it all can be fed from there. Normally when I'm not towing a trailer, there's a rack that mounts on here that has a propane box for storage of hoses and all that stuff. So the propane's outside the van. And it plugs in. It's just a quick disconnect, and I can still use it. In fact, when I first got up here in early May, it was 25 degrees out. So I have my heat, and I just bring my propane tank over and plug it in, and it's outside the van and still does it.
Now, okay, let's go inside. But what I
Okay.
wanted to start with is something that you are most excited about. That's something that you built yourself that you really got you jazzed up.
That would be my cabinets and my bed.
Show me, man. We got these awesome magnetic strips that keep the mosquitoes out. We definitely got a lot of mosquitoes here in this canyon. But that's the only complaint I have about this valley.
Have a refrigerator, freezer, microwave, coffee maker, induction cooktop, Goal Zero battery pack that powers everything from the lights to the coffee maker to the water pump.
So tell me, your power is solar?
I have solar in a lithium-ion battery pack.
Yeah.
Goes into distribution panels that takes care of all the lights. The lights are on three-way circuits, so you can switch them on and off from either side of the van. It's got soft bags for all my clothes and dishes, a Tempur-Pedic bed that hidden underneath is 35 gallons of water with electric water pump, a foldable sink that moves out of the way if you need to bring big items in here, and then there's a bathroom back in the corner, powered air vents, swivel seats. This is my dining room. My eating light, reading light, and that's about it. My very expensive Persian rug that was donated by a customer.
I'm ducking because the bun is hitting the top of the van yet again.
The man
It's not
bun.
the first time this has happened. Cary spent so much time building this out specifically to all his specs that he wanted. And something that's really unique is these soft bags that they act as cabinets and kind of hang from the ceiling. Tell me about these, man.
They're adventure wagon soft bags. They're mounted on K-rails. I fabricated all the steel that's behind this liner. I mean, obviously they zip, they fold up, they have magnetic locks to hold the doors open when you're using them. And you have all my plates and vegetables on this side, all my clothes are on this side. Has under things for my electronic reader, my magazines, all the normal needed stuff.
So why did you decide to go with the soft bags instead of, a lot of people use wood and more solid objects?
Two reasons. The weight, they're much lighter weight than wood cabinets. They're easier to secure, and they also, when you empty them, you can fold them up out of the way so you can utilize the van for storage or hauling stuff. Everything in here unbolts with wing nuts and can come out of here, so you can turn it back into a van in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, neat. Now you said you were most proud of your specific cabinet build here. Tell me about these.
Well, this was just, I needed places for storage, so I have food storage and toiletries and silverware. This is all my chemicals and not chemicals, my stuff for my toilet paper, all that stuff, all the bathroom stuff's down there. This was kind of an afterthought, as was the microwave cabinet. This is my bathroom back here. I have a cassette toilet with a door, and if you need more privacy, you can open this door and that shuts off the whole bathroom.
Oh yeah, you're hidden easily.
So you're kind of hidden. And that's about it. It's the liner is the neatest thing I found, because I started out with doing wood, and by the time you put stringers and wood, and everybody knows it has wood cabinets in a moving vehicle, the van flexes, all the nails come loose, the wood squeaks. This stuff was actually commercial van liner. It's 5/16 thick. It's got honeycomb neoprene and thinsulate on the Reflectix on it, so it's a good insulator. The walls are lined with 3 inches of thinsulate insulation, and Petromat behind that on the metal to keep the sound down. Insulated curtains, they're all magnetic. They all come off, so you can have a view of the outside.
And you were telling me that on the coldest nights, sometimes with your heater kicked on in here and the doors closed, there's maybe 80 to 100 degree temperature difference?
I've had it in Mammoth 2 years ago. It was 4 degrees outside and 68 in here. And so it made it kind of nice when you're in 15 feet of snow. I have a Propex heater mounted underneath the passenger seat, which is a swivel seat now. That's my dining room, my living room, my reading room, and my kitchen.
I think the microwave is pretty unique for a van, right? You don't often see that.
Yeah.
And then you got the electric coffee maker there. Tell me about some of your appliances.
Well, I did the microwave just because I do a lot of rice and chicken and stuff that I can zap really quick. If I need to warm something up, I can do it in a matter of minutes rather than 15 minutes with a propane burner. The induction cooker, I was kind of reticent to do electrics in here, but this Goal Zero has powered my refrigerator, all my lighting, my microwave, my coffee maker, my induction cooked up. You have to be a little judicious with making sure you switch stuff off when you're done. But it works great. It goes into my power goes into 2 separate distribution panels. One covers all my water pump, my heater, everything. The other one does all the lighting, the refrigerator, and the appliances. Yeah.
I think that's pretty unique. A lot of people use those, hardwired deep cycle batteries,
right?
But you instead decided to go with the Goal Zero.
Right.
And will you tell me about that decision?
Well, that was, the complication of having all the wiring, have an MPPT, a charge control, and all that with 2 lithium, big lithium ion batteries was just getting too complicated for what I was trying to accomplish. And this way, my power system, it powers everything in here through distribution panels. And if I need be, I can lift it out of here and go power a saw or do whatever I want to do outside of camp. I can take that battery pack. And also, if it has a failure, which it did early, not Goal Zero's fault, it had a problem with the fan. I pulled it out, put a new one in, done. Didn't have to rewire, troubleshoot. And I did it for simplicity. I just didn't want to have to deal with troubleshooting electronics on the road when I could pull this out and troubleshoot it without any problem. So it worked well, And so far, 3 years later, it's still working fantastically.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's a little bit more versatile then, right?
Yeah, it's real versatile. It's set up, that whole refrigerator and cabinet comes out of there and we'll move back to here, and I can put the bench seat that came in the crew van back in because I have some handicapped daughter and son-in-law and grandchildren, and I can transport them in this van. I can fit 5 people in here with seat belts and everything else in a bench seat, and that's what it was designed for, really. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
this
can,
thing is all plug and play,
yeah,
real
it is. It's
simple.
all plug and play, and it's you can use it. You can use it for hauling equipment, dirt bikes, whatever. You can use it for hauling people. You can sleep in it. You can do whatever. And it's for 3 years. It's worked really, really well. Yeah, I have no complaints at all.
Now we have a really unique sink and chair kind of combination here.
Yeah.
You got your little table. You said that you're for reading, for eating, and what's really cool is how it swivels out. So
And
simple.
it can go all the way outside, so you can use it outside as well.
Yeah, look at that. And then you guys might notice the camper here. Well, there's a funny story with that. Do you want to tell me a little bit about how the camper came to be, Cary?
Yeah, it's kind of strange. I have this beautiful airstream trailer that's way over my head. It's way too fancy for me, but I sleep in this and I work and cook in this. And there's a walk-in shower with a glass door. There's a separate bathroom. There's a double bed. There's a kitchen. There's air conditioning and all that. It was kind of a fluke. I was mentioned to a customer that I was coming up to camp host, and she mentioned I could. She has an old trailer I could use. I'm expecting this 1948 Shasta sitting in the sun rotting, and I come in, it's in an enclosed area. It's a 25-foot Airstream that she let me use for 6 months. She said, "Oh, go ahead, take it. I don't use it." And I said, "Okay." So that's the story behind that.
And yet Cary still sleeps in
I
his van
sleep
right
in my
here.
van. This is my master bedroom. This is my house.
Yeah. Why do you like the T-tracks that you installed up in
Well,
here?
they're really versatile. I mean, as you can see, I hang various things off of them. They hold my soft bags up. I fabricated iron struts up above there to hold everything in place, and I can hang about 600 pounds off the tracks.
Is this for some bad campers?
Yeah, those are for bad campers. Actually, part of my old job, I was the head of security in a hospital, and when they changed companies, I got all these sets of handcuffs. And I literally use them for locking everything up because they see handcuffs, the first thing they think is, oh, law enforcement, let's not play with this van. All my shovels and rakes and implements of destruction are all locked up with handcuffs. I lock my generator to my van with handcuffs. So it works. It's a good deterrent for people that aren't so honest.
And your little control panel here, tell me about that.
Yeah, that's my Propex heater. It's a thermostat for my Propex heater that's mounted underneath the seat. This is obviously my lights on and off, 3-way switched. These are just cigarette plugs that handle my reading lights. And then I've got, of course, I have to have my USB outlets for all my technological stuff. My cell phone and my computer, and that's just my magnetic board that shows where I've been in the Western United States.
Oh, neat.
Has all the national parks and national monuments that I've been to in the West. I haven't done the East yet.
He's gonna come visit me in Tennessee.
Yeah, there you go. I'll do that.
And you love your freezer fridge combo. You're telling me that.
Yeah, this I got turned on to by my son, who's been a nomad for years, had his own little nonprofit picking up trash all around the country. And he goes, "Dad, don't get an ice box, get a refrigerator freezer with a 12-volt compressor." I've got one. Right now it's both refrigerator, but you can turn refrigerator and freezer. You can vice versa. It's not inexpensive, but it's way cheaper than buying ice every 2 weeks. And plus it's a little more environmental friendly than all the plastic bags. Yeah, but. Yeah, that's probably the best thing I have as far as being convenient, because you don't have to worry about water sloshing around or anything. I can put, I have food, I have, produce on one side and cheeses and dairy products on the other side. And this I added later. I needed a shelf to put stuff on and a box to hold my microwave, of course, because you have to have the modern technological devices.
This is neat. This is what would you?
That's just a piece of angle aluminum.
And these are just pieces of wood that slide in.
Yeah, I just fabricated these out of some scraps to make dividers, and they move side to side to where you can put whatever size stuff in there.
With every van, of course, that is converted into a home. You have the essentials. You have power. You have bed. You have your bed. You have where you use the bathroom or shower, and then you have your your fridge and freezer and cooking and all that. What is something that is maybe most people wouldn't think about being important to you? Some little thing that you find to be so crucial for living in a van?
I think unfortunately it's not connected right now, but my outside shower is the best. I have a Julka water heater and an outside shower that normally mounts on the ladder in the back that folds out, has a shower tray in it. Hit the switch. I have a propane powered water heater. I can take a shower whenever I want, and it all folds away and gets put away. It has a sink that goes with it that's under my trailer. But fortunately I don't have to use it this year because I have a trailer to use, so I unbolted it all to just to save weight. But that's probably the most convenient thing to have. Is, as anybody that travels on the road, showering and hygiene is a tough one, and it works. It works well for me. See, then I have
Oh, wow. And what do you use this for? Just extra storage?
just extra storage. I put all my window liners and my fishing rods and tie down straps, and my stove, everything else gets stored in this box. And then I have my water pump and all my plumbing, filters and all that stuff for water. And there's a 35 or 30 gallon water tank underneath there.
When you were building this out, was there any plan that you had that you decided to scrap and change completely?
Yeah, because when I first started building it, as anybody knows that's building a van or doing any projects, you start looking on YouTube and the internet for all these ideas, and you get overwhelmed with ideas. And everybody said I had to have a north-south bed going across, which meant I had to put flares in the sides, which is it's a time-consuming, expensive project. And it's just me. So I put one single twin bed down the side and did it that way with a small walkway down the center to get to my bathroom or out the back doors if I need to. And that's the only real change. That and as we discussed earlier, the power supply. I decided to go with a solar generator is what they call them. They're not truly generators. But I mean, there's a number of brands out there, and I just chose Goal Zero because they had a more versatile array of outlets and inlets, ways to charge it. I can charge it from shore power, I can charge it from my alternator, I can charge it from solar, I can plug it into a wall. So there's technically 4 ways I can charge my battery system. Solar being the most reliable if it's sunny. But that's about the biggest change. And the other blessing was these bug wall screens. I was kind of questionable when I first got them. I installed them. They were easy to install. They're magnetic, and they come for you can have them made for about any kind of van made.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they seal themselves up. People go, "How'd you do that?" I goes, "Just magnets." Which is, of all the things I've ever discovered in all the building and building motorcycles and building cars and vans, the most amazing thing I've ever found is magnets. I don't understand how they work. I've had physicists explain it to me. I don't understand the magic of magnets. I have magnets everywhere in my van. I love magnets. It's kind of a weird thing with me, but I love magnets. I have magnetic screens. I have magnetic bulletin boards. I have magnetic paper towel holders. I have magnetics. I have magnets everywhere. All these insulation covers are held on by magnets.
The next step in magnet technology is where the tow hitch is magnetic, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You just back right up to your camper.
It locks in. Yeah, it'd be perfect. It'd be perfect.
When Cary moved in here as the camp host, he built this little area back here, his meditation retreat. It's pretty neat, huh?
Yeah, this was actually years and years ago. We're talking like 20 or 30 years ago. This was a group campsite, and these were buried under all this wood and stuff. And I knew they were up here, so I started cleaning. That one I haven't finished, but there's 2 separate tent pads that were put in probably the 70s, and I found them, and I just put my World War I hammock from my grandfather up here, and this is my little come and relax place. It's as you can hear, it's really quiet. You can hear the birds, you can hear the water, you can hear the wind. It's just an amazing place.
Now, you've been the campground host here for how long?
I've only been here for this season. I was at Lower Levining the season before, but I've been coming to this canyon since 1960, almost every summer, as has my family, my father, my grandkids, my kids. Everybody comes to this canyon. I've been all over the western United States, and I keep coming back here. I don't know why. It's just a magical place.
Tell me why it's so magical. What is it, if you can really pinpoint why you love this place specifically?
Because it's, number one, it's really peaceful here. It's the end of the canyon, so you don't get any traffic, you don't get road traffic. And if you look at the majesty of these mountains around you, you know, it's just amazing. I mean, look at that, you know. That's just, it's a pretty amazing place. It's just, there's something about here that's just peaceful. It just, you come here and you just feel peaceful. There's 2 campers here now that have been coming here for 25 years. You know, they come here every year. It's just, you know, they try all these different places and you keep coming back here. And this is kind of a hidden gem. It's the last campground on the canyon. You come up the road, you run out of asphalt, and most people think, if they haven't been here before, let's turn around because we don't know where this road goes. And there's a camper. Time to do my work. They remember me from last year being the host. He goes, "You were the host at Lower Line." Yeah, I was. Yeah.
You know, we were talking about why you love this place so much, coming here as a kid, and now being here as the host and being retired and living out of your van and, you know, coming back to a place that you came to as a kid. What is it like now?
It's not work. I mean, it's definitely not work. It's like getting paid to camp. You know, I get a little stipend to stay here and do to meet people, which is really fantastic. That's probably the high point of being a host is meeting people from all walks of life. I mean, you get people from different continents. You've got some of my best friends here from El Salvador that I met last year. You know, it's just, you meet an amazing amount of people here, amazing array of people. And it's like a microcosm of society. I mean, you have the good people and mostly good people. You have a few, you know, bad apples, but that's how life is, you know. And I really enjoy hosting. I mean, I did it for 2 years before this for free, you know, as a volunteer, and I would do it again for a volunteer. The pay's kind of, that's okay, but it's not what this is about. You know, it's not about, there's people that try to make money at this. It's not a high paying job, you know.
Yeah, because you're retired. You could live on the road full time and keep moving from place to place if you want to.
Right.
But you choose to be rooted in one place. And
Yeah,
then you can take off if you want.
Yeah, I've traveled the 13 states, 25 national parks. I did that for about a year and a half. That was wonderful. But it's nice having a place like this I mean, this is my living room. You know, come on. You know, look at the view out my living room window. You know, the sunsets over the end of this canyon are phenomenal. So it's kind of a retirement job. There's some young people doing it now. There's kind of a new genre of people coming in, but it's the same thing. They want a place where they can be in nature as their job, you know. And that what more can you ask, you know, to do this for a living, you know? I mean, I have my Social Security to rely on. You get a little stipend from these guys, you know. And you get to meet people. The biggest thing is meeting people, you know.
Yeah, and you said you've met people from other countries. Obviously, you meet a lot of people from Southern California that want to get away from the beach, and they come in here to the Eastern Sierras. Yeah,
probably the biggest influx of people is from Southern California, and then the Stockton, Sacramento area. You know, the central Northern California. It's just, this is kind of like a vacation spot, and this particular campground is a hidden gem. It's like, these guys have been coming to this canyon for 6 years and they didn't know about this place until somebody told them, you got to go out and check this out. Now they're camping here.
And all you got to do is drive down the road a couple more miles.
Yeah, exactly, down a dirt road.
Yeah.
You know, people get to the end of the asphalt, they go, that's far enough. We're not, you know, we don't know where this road goes. But some people are adventurous and they take the road and they find this place, you know.
When I first met Cary, I walked up, I said, "Hey, cool van, man." And he said, "Yeah, it's stealth red."
Yeah, it was kind of a fluke how I got this. My family was with Ford Motor Company. I ordered a light gray van. It was going to take 14 to 16 months to get it because of the supposed supply shortage, whatever. They called me up a few weeks later and said, "Well, we can get you a van a little bit sooner, but it's got a few caveats." And it had some different options on it that I already paid for the van, and so it became kind of a negotiation point. And I said, "Well, you said there was a few caveats. What's the last one?" They go, "Well, it's not light gray." And I said, "Well, what color is it?" And they said, "It's race red." And I thought, that's not very stealthy, but it's turned out to be very stealthy because no one ever suspects you sleeping on a city street or in a rest stop in a bright red van. They think, no, nobody would do it. And you can't really tell that it's a sleeping van when it's closed because it's got blacked out windows and everything else. But it's worked really well.
And it's also a more compact model. It's not one of these ginormous
Right. It's a medium, long wheelbase, medium roof. And for someone my age, it's really easy to find in the parking lot because it's the only bright red van. It's kind of like obvious, but it's worked really well. Yeah.
Is there anything that you've learned about yourself after 3 years living out of a van now?
Yeah, I would say that the the best lesson I learned is I'm okay with me. You know, I've learned to live at peace with just me. I don't need to have people, or I love to be around people. I love to talk to people, as you can probably tell. But I've learned that it's okay to be. You don't get lonely. You're alone a lot, but you don't get lonely because there's always people to be found. There's always things to do. But the biggest thing is I've learned that it's okay to be me and to be alone with me. You know, there was a time in my life where being alone with me was being alone with my worst enemy, and it's no longer that way. And I've learned that from just traveling alone. You know.
Yeah, and you're not too far from, moving up to Oregon and
Correct.
going visiting your son.
Correct. Yeah, I have family all over California and Oregon, and I get to go visit. You know, it's like if you don't like your neighborhood, you start the engine drive to another neighborhood. You know, it's that easy. You know, people go, well, what do you do for air conditioning? I go, they go, what do you do when it gets hot? I go, I move north. They go, what do you do when it gets cold? I move south. You know, it's pretty easy. I mean, how many people can put a key in their ignition of their house and drive it to another neighborhood? And that's what van lifing's kind of about. When I started this, van lifing was a much bigger thing post-COVID because everybody figured, yeah, if I'm going to isolate, I'll isolate my vehicle. It's kind of petered out a little bit. The value of vans have gone down. You don't see as many vans, but you see a lot of people, more people my age that are still doing it because they found out, hey, this is a neat thing to travel. You know, I can't imagine, because I'm not technologically versed, I can't imagine working out of your van 8 days a week, you know, or 7 days a week or whatever. I can't imagine that because there's too much enjoyment to sit at a computer and work all day, you know. But a lot of people do it. There's a few people younger than me that are still doing that, but not like there was when I started 3 years ago. You know, it's just a different, but it's a good lifestyle. You know, I can't recommend it enough, you know.
If you were to talk to yourself when you were still, on the fence about doing this, or maybe somebody that was in a similar situation as you and wants to adopt this kind of lifestyle at this point in their life, what would you say to somebody like that?
Give it a try. What have you got to lose? I mean, if you do this for a year, I mean, in 1 year, you're going to be 1 year older regardless of whether you did this or not. Why not try it? You might find something new that you really like. You know, I had some apprehensions when I first did it. What if I cancel the lease on my apartment and my shop and I hit the road and I don't like it? What am I going to do? And I just decided take the risk and try. What have I got to lose? You know, I had an investment in the van, and if it didn't work out, I could always sell the van. It's already outfitted. I can maybe make a little profit on it. But if you've never done it before, at least try it. You know, give yourself a chance and try it. I mean, the human spirit is kind of adventurous anyways. That's what makes us who we are. And it's worth it. I mean, I've met so many people that are just out, I mean, yourself, you know, that are just out traveling the world or the United States or whatever continent they're on and finding out this is really enjoyable. You know, stuff I would have missed if I just sat home in my apartment watching TV or whatever, you know, or stayed in this city or whatever. And my life has afforded me the ability to be able to do this. And I wouldn't change a thing. Consideration is the key to, I don't think just for camping, just for society. People need to be considerate. You know, someone in my family asked me to kind of surmise the whole season of camp hosting, if I could put it in one word, and I would say the one thing that people that is not so good is they're inconsiderate. We forget about our fellow man. We leave trash or we make noise. We bring our city lifestyle to the forest, which to me doesn't belong. Oh yeah, I mean we had people here that pulled in their, and nothing against them. Everybody has their own choices. That pull in their 40-foot motorhomes, pulling their $80,000 Jeeps, and they put LED light posts and through the trees. That's for the city. That's not for the country. I mean, there's actually regulations against that, but it's hard to convince some people. There's a little bit of entitlement in some people that think, you know, if they're paying for their $14 or whatever for a campsite, that they can do whatever they want, running generators all night long. It comes down to being considerate for your fellow man. I mean, whether you're in the city or whether you're in the country, you know, whether you're in this forest, consideration is really important, you know, and people kind of forget that.
But for the most part, Cary says that everybody that comes to this campground is good people.
Yeah, it's this campground in particular is most people that come here want to have some some solitude and some quiet and some peace. And it's kind of self-governing. This company that runs this now, it's concessionaire, is very into the noise rules and everything else. But this campground in particular kind of self-governs. If people get out of hand, the other campers will walk over friendly and say, hey, we're trying to keep it down. Can you maybe turn the music off a little bit? And we've had people that say, oh, well, my whole camp needs to hear it. And amazingly, they make these things called Bluetooth headphones you can put on, and it won't bother anybody else. You can play it as loud as you want. Which was kind of funny because last year we said that to a church group of all people, and next thing you know, I look over the campground, everybody's jumping around and dancing, and there's no music because everybody has headphones on, and it was kind of comical. I wished I would have had a video at the time because there was all these people dancing around and jumping, and there was no sound. It was kind of bizarre.
It was a campground silent disco.
Exactly, that's exactly what it was.
Is there anything with the van that you're wanting to change or upgrade now that you've been living out of it for 3 years?
Not really. I don't think there was. I wish that I could have lifted it more for more ground clearance when I do a lot of off-roading, but because the way Ford designed this van, it's not, lifting them is not good for long term. It's hard on the CV joints, yada yada yada. And I've yet to find anything other than one time when I high centered in the snow. I've never got this van stuck. There's a couple little tricks I learned through Ford on how to make the all-wheel drive work like four-wheel drive, because Ford has their traction control is the wheel that's spinning, it applies the brakes, which doesn't help you at all. If you turn the traction control off, all four wheels drive. And I've been in snow drifts higher than my van and powered through them. I haven't done any damage. I think I've got one little dent in the plastic bumper. That was it, and that was from a snowbank. But it's been a great van.
You were telling me about taking down some gnarly roads in Death Valley and showing up and surprising people that were at the end of the road.
Oh, actually, that was in the Mojave Desert. I went up this mountain. I wanted to go this in the Mojave Desert where I was born and raised, and I went to the top of this mountain. I powered up the side of this mountain in my van. I was parked up on the top, and about 7 o'clock in the morning, I heard a bunch of dirt bikes, and I'm an ex-dirt bike racer, and I look out my window, and there's a bunch of guys on dirt bikes going, how the hell did you get this van up here? And I said, I drove it up the mountain. And I mean, this thing it's unbelievable what it'll do. And there was 2 guys at the bottom of the mountain that were camped down there that wouldn't come up because it looked too steep, and they had lifted sprinters and they wouldn't come up the mountain. But it's been that kind of van. I mean, I went up the buttermilks in 10 foot of snow and went all the way to the end and got stuck because I didn't know the traction control trick, put my traction pads down, managed to turn my van around by hand. Oh, actually, that was on Reds Meadows Road. I was going to Reds Meadows, and the road was iced. It ended, and my van was stuck, and I tried for about 30 minutes going back and forth like a 50-point turn trying to turn it around. My van was too long. And I said, what am I going to do? And I leaned against my van, and my van moved on the ice. And I ended up turning the whole van by hand on the ice and driving it back down the road. And I was just going, oh, that worked, And again, I wish I would have had the capabilities of standing back and videoing the process, because I'm turning this 7,000-pound van, just pushing it like this on the ice, turned it 180 degrees and drove back down the road. And this gentleman in a Jeep was watching me do the whole thing, and he didn't help, but he was watching me. He goes, if I didn't see that, I wouldn't have believed that you did that. But it was just sitting on the ice, and it turned around. I totally forgot about that story. That happened the winter of 22-23, which was the worst winter they've had in these mountains in over 100 years.
So who knew that race red vans could go ice skating?
Yeah, exactly. That was about the truth too, and it definitely was ice skating. I had to, just to get out of there, I had to air down the tires, and I have an onboard compressor and everything else. And a lot of people don't understand that airing down your tires is an amazing way to get in traction troubled areas, whether you're on snow, whether you're on sand. Air down the tires. I take them down to about 15 pounds PSI per tire, and I can drive. Then I get out back on the road and I just air them back up again. Mm-hmm. and it works. I've never had to I have chains on board in my top box. I've never had to put chains on it. I actually started out I'm mechanically inclined from birth. I don't know if it's a gift or a curse. I've been fixing things and building things since I was a little kid. I got into healthcare on a fluke. After almost 30 years, I was director of facilities for one of the biggest healthcare corporations in the world at that time. I got tired of the corporate scene, and I opened up a handyman service because that's what I was doing. My idea was to get my B license and be a big contractor and have all these crews. After a few years of doing that, I said, I kind of like doing this by myself. I like the social aspect. I couldn't find people that had the array of skills or the social graces to work with the clientele that I worked with. And I did it on my own for 15 years. And then I got to the point I'd been riding and racing motorcycles since I was 9 years old. And I started racing again when I was 53. Won my first and only race when I was 62. I've done so many orthopedic injuries. I mean, I've broke so many bones. I'm not even going to tell you how many I broke, but I've shattered my kneecaps. I broke my back. I fractured. You can imagine. My wrist is fused, and I just couldn't work anymore because of the type of work I was doing. Is all climbing through attics and everything from hanging pictures to climbing through attics, running Cat 5 cable and stuff. And I just couldn't do it anymore. So I retired. I have a pretty good chunk of Social Security, and this is it. This is how I ended up so far. We'll see where the adventure ends.
Cary, thanks for telling us your story,
Sure.
man.
You're welcome.
It's really cool. It's been awesome to meet you. Coolest campground host in the world, hands down.
Thanks.
Cheers, man.
Thanks.